made it to Chirohustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channel and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes and continue hustling. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Chiropractic Rocks, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, doTERRA, Sherman College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority Podcast Training, and Prime Spine Consulting. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 319 of the Chirohustle Podcast. I'm your co-host, Luke Millette, and here's your host, Jim Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Gabby Goldach, and if you want to understand what chiropractic means to be at home in the world, stay tuned. All right, guys, welcome back. I have Gabby Goldach here today, Columbus, Ohio, and Jim Chester here coming in from Grand Junction, Colorado. And before we get started with episode 319, I know it is because I wrote it right there. And it's a good number. Before we get into this amazing episode today, I just want to let people know why we do what we do. The big why is we protect free speech in chiropractic. We do protect the sacred trust. Like I always say, if you don't know what that is, use your Google fingers and go check it out. Look up chiropractic sacred trust. And we do support innate intelligence, which is your body's innate ability to heal itself without anything else other than the alignment of the nervous system. And if you guys want to look a little bit further, we do also support subluxation based chiropractors. So Google that word too if you don't know it. But if you're watching this show, obviously you have some semblance of what we do and why we do it. So Gabby,
here we are.
Welcome.
Thanks, Jim. Good to be here.
And I just want to let people know Luke is not with us today on the production. So Luke is with us though, because he'll be doing all the engineering and producing of the show. So today I'm just going to ride the wave by myself here with Gabby, Dr. Gabby. So let's just jump right in. I read your bio. I think you have some really cool stuff to offer the audience today. But your story, I think that most people, even if they don't listen to the whole 30 minutes, telling your story that people listen to for the first couple of minutes is really important. So just go ahead and open up and let us know how you got into this beautiful profession.
Yeah, sure thing. I mean, everyone knows the saying, you don't find chiropractic, chiropractic finds you. And I'm no different, that's for sure. So for me, I've always been absolutely terrified of medical doctors, literally since came out of the womb. Just was not about it. Always just had a lot of fear of what are they going to do to me? And when I was around 4 years old, I have this very vivid memory of my mom saying that she needed to have surgery on both of her feet. She had Morton's neuromas. And as kids, she would tell us that she had tomatoes in her feet. So don't step on them because, that would hurt. And as a kid, you get this visual and you're like, gotta steer clear of those bad boys. So I remember this very vividly and I'm avoiding these tomatoes at all costs. And I remember going with her to the chiropractor and hearing her getting adjusted, but not really knowing really anything else about chiropractic. But what I did know is that because she went to the chiropractor, she didn't have to have surgery. So this was cataloged within my system from a very young age. And I really didn't know anything else about the principles of the philosophy of chiropractic until I got to chiropractic school. But innately, I had always lived this innately driven life, not wanting to take medications, not wanting to, do this outside in approach. I just wanted to eat well, think well, move well, be well. And I was like, well, that's where our quality of life comes from. So how can I help people get more of that? Mm-hmm. I went to chiropractors growing up, but not really to get adjusted, more for ART, some muscle work, things like that, got adjusted. But again, no one educated me or my family on what exactly was happening and the, this innate intelligence that resides within each and every one of us. And, as a growing kid, especially in today's world, I think that's really damn important to know. So just knew I had to be a chiropractor, didn't really know why. I remember if you've ever been to Logan, it has this really, really beautiful hill that you kind of wind up to get onto campus. And I just remember the first time I went, I just felt like everything just went it just aligned within me and I couldn't name it. I couldn't understand why. I just was I have to be here. So I rolled into Logan, started school in September of 2015, right out of undergrad, and didn't know a damn thing about chiropractic, didn't know anything about the spine, nothing. I remember they put a picture of the spine up on the board the first day and they were like, here we go. And I was like, I don't care about that. When are they going to get to the good stuff? Little did I know that's where it all resides. So a bit about how I got into chiropractic, how it found me, how I just followed my innate, we could say now, and ended up here.
So going through this education process, are you the first doctor in the family?
Yes.
So what was that like for the participants of your family to see that you're going to become a doctor of chiropractic?
They like saw how happy it made me. Like one of my sister's good friends came home from college from a break, and I was home from break as well. And he was like, "You're so happy. Like, what are you doing? What's going on?" And I told him, and he's like, "I think I want to do that." So like he ended up going to Logan, growing into a chiropractor. And family-wise, they've always been very supportive. However, I've learned the hard way how to communicate and how not to communicate, and how to push or not push family into doing what I'm doing, because it's maybe just not their time. So I had a pretty steep learning curve in that. I'd say about 1.5 years, 2 years into school. And, they see that I'm happy. They see that I'm thriving. They like see my passion for it, and they're very supportive. And I honestly currently am practicing out of the house at the moment where my dad and stepmom live. They just had this nook. I just got back to the US about 2.5 months ago, and they're like, "Go for it. Like, set up. We're here for it. We support you.
Cool.
Just go." So I've gotten a lot of family support, which has been really, really awesome.
So this circles me back a page with you. You said just got back to the US, Columbus, Ohio, but you were on this this journey out there. I guess apple seeding chiropractic to the world. Let's talk a little bit about where you went and some of your experiences.
Yeah. So out of school, I went to work in Oslo, Norway. Amazing, amazing experience. Had a little bit of visa trouble there. Like my visa was expiring. It was just like, do I stay? Do I go? Like just a lot of balls to juggle at one time. Ended up being in Norway, working there for about 6 months. Moved down to a town called Sitges, Spain, just south of Barcelona, to join my partner actually. And he's also a chiropractor. And so I moved like March 11th of 2020, packed up all my stuff, left Norway, moved down to Spain, just in the nick of time. Was planning to practice there in Spain, set up shop there. I just was like, I just need to work for myself. Like I've known this about myself. I've tried to fit into other people's holes and work in other settings. And while there's always a lot to learn, it's like when you know, you know. So if there are any new grads or people approaching graduation now, like if you know that you want to work for yourself, trust it. Like you will meet the people that you need to meet along your way. You'll learn what you need to learn, but just like know that that's coming for a reason. And you're enough, and you know enough. You'll keep learning all the time. Mm-hmm. So ended up getting stuck in a country called Andorra, tiny little country between Spain and France, up in the mountains there, the Pyrenees. Packed a bag for a weekend to go see my boyfriend's family up there. Didn't leave for 3.5 months. So we were in like a very strict lockdown situation there. We were like, do we stay in Spain? What do we do? Do we go somewhere else? And like literally he woke up one day and was like, why not Singapore? And I was like, are you insane? Like, have you seen the state of the world right now? Like I'm thinking maybe like stay in Europe or go back to the US, but this idea came. And to be honest, I was not on board. I was like, I could stay in Spain. We could work here, like, whatever that looks like. But then something really just switched to me. And I was like, yeah, I think I need to go to Singapore. And what was that? Fall of 2020. So I got a job at a really wonderful and amazing pediatric and prenatal practice in Singapore called Organic Family Chiropractic. Lovely place, amazing staff, amazing clients and patients, like literally some of the warmest, most loving people that this planet literally has to offer. Like they made a very big impact on me. But given the state of the world, I was like, I don't need to be on the other side of the planet. They're doing kind of crazy stuff with vaccinations over there. And I was like, I think I need to get out of here. And so my boyfriend was supposed to join me in Singapore. His contract fell through last minute. So like fall 2020, he, along that same timeline, got a job offer in Belgium on the west side. He took that. And so after my 7 months in Singapore, I said, okay, I'm going to go there and join him there. So again, had the intention to like start a practice there, built up a little one like out of the house. Just was waiting for visa stuff and paperwork and all the bureaucratic mess that like is moving to many different countries as an American. And just was like, you know what, I need to just catch my breath for a little bit and just come back to the US and just be here and just find my feet, find myself, find some roots. And in that time, I got back about 2.5 months ago, and I didn't know much, but I did know that I needed to get my hands on people and I needed to serve. So I put a table in this loft area that we have and put some plants and a rug and made some business cards and got a website up. And I just said, okay, here we go. And things have just been growing really beautifully.
So this is a really like easy question for me to ask then. When you talk about marketing,
Yes.
What are you doing to grow this little baby practice that you have in the loft?
The loft. Well, previously I was like, if you would have asked me about content creation and like building out an Instagram and social media, I would have been like, kill me. I'll delegate that. I'll find a Luke for those types of things. Like I'm good on that. But I've actually had a lot of fun, creating this thing that's like an extension of me. So in building out an Instagram account and just making business cards that feel congruent and right for me. That's pretty much it. For marketing, I just share things on Instagram, Facebook, but truthfully, like 90% of my clients have come just word of mouth. So I haven't really had to do much. And I think that speaks to just like, if you take really, really great care of one person, you're helping the whole world. And they'll want the people that they love the most to come in and experience what they just experienced. And so I'm getting clients who are like pre-vetted, like they already know, they're already in. I don't have to explain a ton, like they're just in.
So I don't really ask this question too often, but are you driven more for a volume practice, or are you driven more for a lifestyle of being a practitioner?
I wouldn't say that I'm a volume person. Like I spend at the moment, like 7 to 15 minutes with people. What I envision is having a bigger space where I can have like 2 or 3 tables and move back and forth between, because I think that the time that people have on a table is just important because it's out of the matrix. It's out of this insane world that we're living in. And so this is a time for them, like what I say all day long is like, this is your time to return back to you, to come back home to yourself. And as someone who's lived literally all over the world, I want people to, just be invited to understand that home is here. It doesn't matter where you are physically. It doesn't matter what's going on externally in your world, but like wherever you are, like you can be at home. So in doing that, I'm spending a bit longer with people right now. For me, I feel like my ideal number is between like 120 and 150 a week. Still pretty new here and building this practice, but things are moving quickly on that trajectory. So it's where we're sitting today.
That's cool. It's a fun conversation we're having so far. And I think that a lot of that goes into what you do to take care of yourself. What do you do to like keep healthy? I know you probably, I would hope, get adjusted, because I think chiropractors a lot of times though, they're like the last one in the order to like take care of themselves. Yeah. They'll adjust their whole staff, but they won't go down the street to somebody to say, hey, will you check me? So what are you doing to stay healthy? Eating right, thinking right, moving right, I guess. But
doing my best to do all those things.
Share with us some specifics.
You want my secrets?
Yeah, give it to us. How do you make the juice?
The juice, man, it just flows. No, honestly, one thing that I do is I really prioritize my sleep. That is like no joke for me.
How much a day?
I'm not a napper, really not.
Well, how much a night then?
Because
I called a sleep bank.
Yeah,
how much are you depositing in your sleep bank? Okay.
8 hours is like pretty good for me. I can go like a couple days in a row off of like 7.5, but like I'm not my best self when I get less than 8. So
I can't sleep over 7.
Teach me your ways. Like I wish I didn't have to. You know what I mean? There's so much I want to do in this world.
7's like the sweet spot. Like
that's great.
My body just says,
get your ass up.
Just go. And I feel so rested. I wake up, I'm like, wow, I just slept 7 hours. That was great.
Amazing.
I don't need any more.
You're good. You're really good. That's totally amazing.
Solid. Yeah.
So definitely prioritize sleep. I think that we all kind of get to this point where we're like, we know that we're consuming things that maybe aren't best for us, and we just have to be like really ready to clear those things out. So like recently I've given up coffee and like gluten, and I just feel like my energy is so much more stable. And I just, what else? I mean, I just try to like have good thoughts. For me, like I have this really amazing like feed forward loop of like doing my job. So I just try to get my hands on people and just serve and just take care of them. And I take care of myself in the process.
Isn't gluten kind of trashy? They should just take that out of everything?
We should, except for I'll tell you, in Europe, it doesn't bother me the way that it bothers me here.
Because it's glyphosate gluten over here.
Yeah. How much I miss like real bread. My God.
Yeah. Like you have to like go to a real baker here in the States if you want to find real bread, and that's still adulterated with glyphosate.
To put it lightly, they do their best, but I think it's just about like asking like what's actually serving me and taking small or giant steps to give yourself more of that.
So are you doing anything like meditation?
I have had a hard time sitting still lately.
Okay.
So I'm more of like a breathwork kind of person. Like I need something active. I need something to give to my educated brain to like give it a job. But I can find meditation in something just like doing the dishes and like going for a walk and doing a yoga practice and like creating content. That meditation for me doesn't necessarily look like sitting here like in lotus position with like in the, like this, you know what I mean? It can look any number of ways for people. And I think that if we can let go of that need to have it look a certain way, we'll find a lot more peace and ease within ourselves.
Yeah, I think it's cool to have these types of conversations because it's topical stuff that most people don't really have conversations on, especially on an open forum like this. So I think it's really cool that you're sharing some of this stuff. Growing this practice once again. How are you intending on plugging into your community and growing this practice other than, as you said, word of mouth and referrals?
That's a really good question. It honestly, like, it just brings me back to this concept of like, when you take care of one, you take care of the many. Mm-hmm. And so like, as one person, their child starts to know who they are more and more, that ripples throughout entire family, which ripples throughout communities, which ripples throughout towns and cities and villages and whatever that is. So I wish I could give you a different answer, but like, it's really just taking care of the one and just giving people hope. Like, I would love to go into some of the schools and just spread more of that, so that's another way. I love to speak. I love to write. So like getting more content out in that way. I prefer to do it in person personally. So just keep my eyes open for some speaking engagements that I can jump into in the community, I think would be a good way.
Yeah, people need clarity and leadership, especially from doctors. So kudos to you for finding that and thinking that that's a good place to land and how to participate, because I really believe that we need more people that are willing to tell people, hey, you can take the veil off. We're okay. The air's good. The sunlight's good. The hydration's good. Yeah. Like being a positive human organism's good. Yeah. So, charge each other up and say nice things to each other.
Really, like, why did it get so difficult to do this all the time? Crazy.
So interests. This isn't scripted stuff. What are you reading right now, and what are you listening to?
I'm a sucker for Joe Rogan's podcast, and so at some point I would like to have a chat with our homeboy Joe, who isn't the biggest fan of chiropractic. But like, I love that he just has such an array of people on his podcast, people who think like me, people who don't. And I just think he's a really great interviewer. So I look up to him a lot in that way. He just asks really great questions and continues to dig and doesn't just take things at face value. Like I think so many of us in today's world are getting kind of looped into. So big fan of Joe Rogan's podcast. I have a hard time letting myself read nonfiction, to be honest with you. So I've had Sapiens on my nightstand for several months. I'm not going to lie. I just have not been in the reading mode lately. I think there's been so much I've wanted to like put out that I haven't been able to like take in as much. Mm-hmm. So that's just where I'm at right now.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Chiropractic Rocks, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, doTERRA, Sherman College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority Podcast Training, and Prime Spine Consulting. Let's hustle. I think sometimes you have to find something to break you out of that, the reading aversion. Sometimes you just have to throw all the books on the floor and pick one.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to try it tonight.
I'll take a picture of my stack of books and I'll show it to you after this. And I was like, look, this is what I got. The next one's just going to come out the first one I pick up. Yep. But yeah, I think reading is important for us too. Podcasts are really good. Yeah, I think, when we have interests, let's go back chiropractic now. Any major books that you read in chiropractic that had an impact on you?
I mean, my favorite thing to do is just like grab a random green book and just flip it open to a random page and just like take in what it has for me that day. The Bigness of the Fellow Within has been a favorite for sure. I think in chiropractic school in particular, like I was like many of us, we're on this big journey of like really waking up and like coming into who we're meant to be and who we've always been, So I would say like outside of chiropractic literature, like Eckhart Tolle, Power of Now was like critical for me. The Untethered Soul, Michael A. Singer, another huge classic for me. Like my soul is rooted to those books. And, when people are on this path and they're looking for something to read, it's like more, those are two that really come to mind for me that I'm like, here you go.
I'm going to tell you, I read Power of Now is one of the hardest books I've ever read.
It's so funny. Some people say that, but like, I think
I'm like, get this thing away from me.
Get out of here.
But I could see like the powerful parts of it. Yeah. But I'm just like, this thing is like, it's like reading algebra. It's like
A New Earth was like that for me. I was like, I just can't get through this. Like, it's just not happening. I
got stuck on that one. And I would tell people this: if you're going to go read a green book, reading one page is like reading a regular book.
Yeah.
And like getting through like 2 pages is like, holy wow, I just did something, and that's impressive. I just read this 2 pages out of a green book. Woo!
Yeah, here we go.
It's like, yeah, I mean, it's a whole education on like 1 page. So
yeah, exactly.
When people actually dive into one and actually open one, it's interesting. And there are some people out there that are scholars of green books that hold like green book discussions and things. So I think that's pretty cool. Yeah. Let's future pace this game. Where's chiropractic going in a decade? Where's it going in 20 years? And what are the kids going to have in the next 20 years?
The kids, I really can only hope that this profession is going to be strengthened, as we go, as we move through moments in time like this, where like we are required, like it is our duty to stand by these principles and to live it, even more. Yes, it matters what we say, but mostly it matters what we do and how we show up in our worlds on the micro and the macro. And so I really do think that our profession is going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. And I've seen even just like something as simple as the size of seminars that mentors of mine hold. Like I'm big into like MLS. Like I got my start off with Kairos, shifted into like MLS and like John Martinez, Eric Rubin. So I've seen like John's work just explode. And so it's just amazing to see. So I like to believe that we're banding together and we're more and more and more of us are living the life and not just talking the talk. And of course, there's always the stragglers, there's always the outliers there, but I don't think we have to pay too much attention to those. Like just focus in on our tribe, on what we're doing great and on what the people need and how we can serve. And with that, I think we can only grow stronger and stronger. So.
Yeah, it's cool because people sometimes forget that chiropractic is a triune. It's science, philosophy, and art.
Yeah.
And they just wanted to think that it's some commercialized like pop and pray type profession.
Right.
And it's not. It's very scientific when it comes down to understanding the nervous system. It's very scientific when it comes to understanding with the outcome that people get better with. Yes. And you don't have to have a blood test to tell somebody that their body is functioning better based on range of motion and testing. And I think that sometimes people want chiropractic to be in a different ilk when it comes to explaining how they make people like improve. But a lot of times it's because you say, I make an impact on the nervous system. I correct a vertebral subluxation. I allow the body's innate to flow through within it, and I allow it to reconnect man the physical to man the spiritual, or woman the spiritual to woman the physical. So I think that there's a lot of things that are beautiful about it. And you mentioned some of those people is they create art. So
Yes.
there's art of the adjustment, there's art of technique, there's art of philosophy.
Yeah.
And that's what a green book is. It's art of philosophy. And I really believe that so many times when people think about chiropractic, they can never think about other than the thing of somebody putting a hand on the neck and hands on a back and pushing. Like that's like the byproduct of the science, philosophy, and art.
Yeah.
And that's where the real chiropractic miracle happens. And that's where when we have these slogans, expect miracles, that's what it means is you just go face down, you allow somebody to palpate, you allow somebody to adjust, and all of a sudden another chiropracticism, the lights turn on.
Yeah.
And that person, once again, gets their life back. Yeah. And I think that some of these things are so true that you don't have to over explain to people, but that's what people are demanding from people that are chiropractic. Like, over explain this to me.
Yes. And it's like, no, I just want to give you an experience. Like, just come in, just show up. And in Singapore, the office I was working at, like I said, amazing practice, had an awesome experience, learned a ton. But given the nature of like the COVID situation there and the fact that this was a really busy pediatric or prenatal practice, like from the moment that someone called to schedule to the moment they got to come in for their first adjustment, there were multiple Zoom calls in there. There was a physical exam in there. And for me, like, as I'm doing this, like I did my best to make it all about the neurology and the nervous system, but I was like, I don't want to go through 10 days of like trying to convince someone about this. I want to just bring them in, lay them down and give them an experience and let them decide from there. And to each his own, like everything works. I just know it works best for me. And I've had so much fun just living it and doing it and just giving that to people and helping them experience more of themselves at the end of the day. So.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate the frequency that you're on with being a practitioner. Let's talk now about like opportunity. If you could sit down with anybody in history, it doesn't have to be in chiropractic, and you could have coffee or lunch or dinner with one of these people, who would it be?
Well, chiropractically, Sue Brown. Hands down, like no doubt about it, Sue Brown. And I don't even know that I would be able to like ask any questions, but just to like sit in her field and just be like, here we are. You know what I mean? Like just to take it in. Non-chiropractically,
Well, before you jump into that, explain what Sue Brown does and why Sue Brown is so significant.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, Sue Brown is I don't know what the proper title is, but the discoverer of BGI, biogeometric integration. So this is an approach to chiropractic that I feel just really honors the whole and honors the fact that force applications can appear differently. And that can just be something as simple as like empowering someone to connect their breath into a part of their body that they haven't found for 2 decades, or that it's just like, for me, BGI and Sue and what she uncovered, it's just like so congruent and so wholesome. It covers the physical, the mental, the emotional, the chemical, the spiritual. Like for me, it just resonates as truth. And I just want to see what she sees or hear what she hears. I know that she was very auditory. And it's the same situation with like John Martinez. It's like, what does he see? Like how does he perceive that track? How does he perceive like the path that needs to just move through? And so yes, long-winded answer, but
no, it's necessary. And I think a lot of times people don't know what BGI is or what Sue Brown helped with or how it became kind of a popular technique to do. So I think it's important for people to understand that type of stuff. Yeah. So non-chiropractic, I know you're getting there.
Yes. I am very, very fascinated by the Holocaust. I'm Jewish. My grandparents are survivors on my dad's side, came from Poland by way of Israel and New York. So I've really felt this very deep connection to that time period. And so really any of those like big resistance fighters, like obviously Anne Frank is a very easy one to like bring to mind. But just like the bravery and the courage that these amazing people exhibited to put their own lives on the line to serve and help others, and for Jews and non-Jews alike. So I feel very deeply connected to that, to my Jewish culture, and to that period of time. So literally you can give me like any resistance fighter and I will gladly like sit down with them and just take it all in.
Well, that's really cool. It's really powerful. And I think, going back to people's roots is valuable, and people find a chance to resonate with something more meaningful outside of what's popular. So I think it's really good. So this is the segment where we're going to talk miracle.
Let's talk miracle.
Maybe share a case that you've seen throughout your travels, or maybe it's happened yesterday. Tell me a miracle story that you've had a chance to facilitate and to be a part of.
Man, so many awesome moments. I'll give you a recent one and then one that's a bit more in the past that happened when I was in school, actually, that I feel like I really needed. And so when was it? Probably 2016. I think I was a bit over a year into chiropractic school. Winter break, went to Vietnam with my family. And at this moment, I'm like getting my hands on everyone I can. We're like people at the hotels, people on the beach, like just come sit down, like let's adjust you, you know? And there was this man who worked at the hotel and he saw me adjusting my sister or something on a lounge chair by a pool. And he came over to me and he said, can you help me? And I said, yeah. I'm like literally 4 semesters into chiropractic school, but I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So I look at this guy and he's got like one shoulder like this, one shoulder like this. And he's telling me that he has to get fluid pulled from his head once a month because he just has this buildup of pressure and fluid and he has terrible headaches and like all this stuff. And I'm just like, okay, like lay down, you know, welcome to my office. And this has kind of always been my style, for better or for worse. It's just like, I have this thing that I can serve you with. And I trust my hands. I trust, you know, what my innate is telling me if something's right or not right. And it's like, let me serve you, you know? So he laid down, I adjusted him. He stood up, and this is just like a very physical thing, but still cool to see as like a 4th trimester student. Like went from this to like shoulders are even, like didn't really think much else of it. Like, you know, whatever, saw him again the next day and he's comes up to me, like nearly shaking me, like almost in tears, telling me that he doesn't have a headache for the first time in like years. You know what I mean? Like, so just to think like, great, like we just got this guy's like CSF flowing again. And like, who knows, like mentally, emotionally, like what else was stagnant for so long. But like, just by putting my hands on him, like we got like something came through me to help him in that profound of a way. So like that as a new chiropractic student was just profound. It was like, holy shit, you know, oh my God, like what can't we do here? So really awesome moment, you know, as you're just getting started on the path. And then I have this, a child here that I'm taking care of who is on the spectrum, born a female, wants to be identified as a male, and just like 10 years old. And he has just expressed to me, like, he literally just like hates who he is. Absolutely hates himself. And for me, like to hear a 10-year-old speak in this way, so sadly and so poorly about themselves, it's just like, what is going on in this world? And, so just like have the opportunity to like adjust him and have him like want to keep coming back is just amazing. So like the mom reached out to me and said, I don't know what's going on here. But my son, you know, typically like when he gets in trouble, there's grudges, there's tears, there's meltdowns that last days. And after one adjustment, he got into like a little bit of trouble with his parents, and the parents were able to just like have a conversation. There was understanding to be had on both sides. Feelings were shared from this boy, and everything was good in about 30 minutes. So these types of things are rippling through families. And to be honest with you, like no one's coming to me because they're in pain. Like my people understand that they're coming here to get their nervous system checked and understand that like there are a plethora of downstream things that can happen from that happening. And I can't tell them everything that's going to happen. I don't want to. It's not my job. You know, this is where like we just adjust and we let innate do its thing and we get the hell out of the way. And we have miracles that bring peace to families that then, you know, like that like spectrum community is very close knit, and like it gives other families hope as well. And so for me, like that is a miracle, just to bring peace and ease to families and to children who can then start to like understand more of who they are and that they do show up in this world and they are meaningful and they are important. So I'd say like that's one of the biggest miracles that we can give every day as, you know, vitalistic chiropractors.
Well, that's it's powerful, and thank you for sharing. So many people, your friends, your family, your old classmates, your colleagues, their families, other people are going to listen to this episode, and it's going to help people understand what chiropractic really does. And it takes people out of the mechanism mindset that it's some fixation of a joint and some really like scientific approach that's non-chiropractic.
Yeah.
And people want to manipulate chiropractic for all of its worth. And they want to change the dynamics of what this profession stands for. And we know through clarity of standing up and protecting the sacred trust of what this profession does.
Yes.
And you cannot manipulate the truth. And the truth always prevails, and chiropractic wins in the end. So yeah, it was really cool hearing some of the input that you had today on chiropractic and how it's impacted your life, and telling your story. If people want to learn more about you, Dr. Gabby, where can I send them to?
Yes. Instagram's probably a pretty easy one. I've got my personal account. It's just Gab_Chiro, or you can follow my practice. It is at the inside space _. You can find me on Facebook as well, Gabby Goldach or the inside space. We can link my website to my practice as well.
Yeah. What's the website?
The website is the-insidespace.com.
B-E?
The T-H-E dash.
Dash.
Had to throw a dash in there. Just the inside space was taken. I was like, come on. I'll mix it up. So
the-insidespace.com.
Correct.
Awesome. Because that's gonna follow you around on this episode. So awesome. People are going to be able to find you at the-insidespace.com. Is there anything that I didn't ask you that you were hoping I would have asked you today? Or anything that you want to share that you might have had on the tip of your tongue that I didn't get a chance to talk to you about?
I will just say that, like, in today's world, people need to remember, and I very intentionally say the word remember, they need to remember that nothing's wrong with them. They need to just be reminded that they're just adapting the best that they can in this crazy, loud, and unbridled world. And they're doing the best they can. And so they're not broken. They're not in need of fixing. They're not fucked up. Can I say that on here?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And that it's okay. And we see them as whole and as perfect. And then we can just focus on what's already right with them. And we can go from there. So I think when we move through the world, whether that's the world in our practice or our own individual worlds, with that outlook, we can call in some really amazing things in our practices and in our lives. So I will leave it with that.
Well, Dr. Gabby, thank you for being our guest today on the Chiro Hustle podcast. This is episode 319. And if you guys want to find out more about Dr. Gabby, go to the-insidespace.com. And we just want you over here at Chiro Hustle to have an awesome rest of your day, and look forward to talking to you soon.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right. See you soon.
See ya.
Bye for now. Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.